Hello everyone, this is me Siren 3. Welcome back to Heart It Out with Sai. And today we will talk about grief and how it is important for us to understand grief, process the grief, and also for practitioners and counseling students to learn about grief and bereavement and how to provide grief counseling to individuals with loss related cases. So let's learn. Now in this particular video it will be a bit longer because it's an educational video, and I will be talking about what is grief firstly, then the 5 stages of grief given by Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. She has also mentioned in her book Grief and Grieving about these 5 stages and how people deal in different ways, and how it is crucial to understand this process of grief and grieving. And then we will see that how we can navigate grief in a session broadly with 5 steps we counselors take to navigate in a session related to grief and bereavement counseling. Let's begin. So first of all, what is grief? Grief is basically a feeling which is also associated with strong emotions. It's also a state of mind, a state of being, where an individual or a group of people may feel a lack of something or someone in their life, and that can make that absence, that vacuum, that void, makes them feel deep-seated psychological, emotional, and mental and physical pain. And it can vary in different people in different ways, but it is a very difficult state to be in. It's also equally difficult state to accept it, the loss. And the loss can be anything, by the way. The loss can be an object, a situation, experience, opportunities, people, places, positions, and it can be anything. And the longing for those which has already been faded away or gone, or it's no more. So that's a very difficult state to be in. And sometimes we often casually say to people that, okay, move on, this is fine, you can do better, everything is fine, chill. These sort of regular statements can make the other person feel more vulnerable, more not that great, more uncomfortable, to the matter of fact, because I believe that every person has the right to feel whatever they want to feel. If they want to feel sad, happy, all the emotions, they are okay to feel all the emotions and be in all the both positive and negative emotions in order to function in a holistic way. It's equally important for us to sit with our pain and suffering sometimes and reflect back on those so that we can come out and cope better. So with regards to the definition of grief or understanding what this phenomena or process is all about, we will go straight away into the 5 stages. Now grief has got different models in psychology has viewed or seen grief as differently, but I would like to talk about the Ross model, which is a very famous model for grief, the 5 stages of grief. The first comes denial. Now in denial, it is a defense mechanism that buffers the immediate shock of the loss. Right, so you will feel that nothing has happened to you because you're not ready to accept it at all. So this is the first thing happens to almost all of us, and it's pretty common, and it is hard to accept sometimes certain things in life. But then comes, from denial grows the anger with time. And let me remind you one small thing: grief is a process of time. So it starts also, slowly, and it is also very important for us to know that we stay in grief for a longer time, and it also takes time to heal from coming out of grief and coping with it or from it. So from the denial phase we come to the anger phase, and this is a very challenging phase where individuals feel that the pain begins to surface. So all the unconscious sufferings comes up to the surface in the conscious levels, and often redirected by the emotion anger towards others, towards self, and even towards the deceased. Means somebody who has lost their loved ones, or somebody significant in their life who is no more, physical death or loss of life. So that also happens. After this stage comes bargaining, which means that the statements we use sometimes, if only, sort of like this statements, if only statements. If only I was able to talk to that person, then maybe this wouldn't have happened. Something like this. So these are bargaining. You're trying to negotiate. You're trying to bargain with your pain. You're trying to understand that, okay, maybe I was at fault that I didn't call him, or I didn't, I wasn't able to manage this. Maybe I should have been there. These are sort of, ifs and buts. These sort of statements. You try to bargain and negotiate with your pain and suffering. And these statements where the person tries to regain control, even sometimes through secret deals, and or maybe guilt, feeling of guilt, as I said. Then comes the stage of depression, which is the fourth stage. And the stage of depression is a very deadly stage. This is where the person feels a deep sense of sadness and regret as the reality of the loss truly sets in. Now you're feeling all the understanding of the loss. Now finally you are into the reality of the loss, and you're trying to make sense of it, and all the suffering settle downs, and it kind of makes you more vulnerable, painful. It is, absolutely a stage where you feel that why this is happening, why it has happened, was it necessary? But then the beauty in this phase is, considering all the negative emotions and the heaviness it has, the beauty is that if you gain insight, and if you gain the power and courage to overcome and build the resilience to cope with this stage, the depression stage of grief, you can actually come to the last stage, which is acceptance. And acceptance to anything in life, be it loss, success, be it whatever, a gain or a loss or a pain or suffering, acceptance is the first step of healing. It's the first step of being successful. It's the first step of understanding yourself and being aware, and that's when things starts to fade away, and that's when you have a control over yourself, and you become to feel free, and you release all the stress and tensions and worries in your life, so that you can gain your higher consciousness and you become better and your well-being enhances. So this is where you try to make sense of everything and process it, and be kind with yourself and others, and grow in life even without those people, places, positions, objects, and things which you have lost in life. And With this note, I would also like to add one more point over here, that it is not necessarily needed that you always be okay in things. Being okay is fine, and not being okay with the loss is also fine. But rather acknowledging the new reality and moving forward is the key. That's the key for a healthy coping mechanism. Now we will learn how to navigate in a session when you get, like this is for the counseling people or psychology students, how we can navigate a session where maybe my client is suffering from any grief related issues. I will talk about 5 broad steps how we can take up the session and deal the session. The first step is creating a holding space, which we do often and which we do almost all the times. So it's in the same way, we have to ensure by building the rapport, we should establish a safe, non-judgmental environment where the client feels held in their pain. So you're not trying to make it difficult for them. You're not trying to say that it's okay, you don't have to cry about it. No. If they feel crying, sit with them in silence. Don't have to say anything, don't have to do anything, just be there, hold them. In a way, not actually holding them, but to create a holding space, to create a space where they feel seen, heard, and felt, where you give that safe space to them, where you provide them a session where they feel that yes, this is a place where they can just even simply sit, not necessary that they talk, not necessary that they share. I know that sometimes we want to eagerly listen and know what is happening from our clients, but it is very important for us to give them their space and autonomy and let them just, talk in their own pace and don't rush in the session. So that's the very first thing you provide with a grief related case to a client. Second step is normalize the chaos in their lives. What is that? So explain to the client that grief is not linear. It's okay to jump between the stages and feel them all at once. Okay? So when you explain the Ross model of grief, the different 5 stages, it is very important for you to psychoeducate your clients that these are the stages you will go through eventually, if not now, and it is okay to feel such. So normalizing the cure. Also to explain them that it is okay to feel all these things, and the third step is to narrative construction. So this is where you encourage the client to tell the story of their loss and help to process the trauma and make sense of their experiences. So in this particular process where you tell them to construct their narratives, you can use different frameworks and trauma lenses and even narrative therapy to reauthor their life scripts from the negative loss oriented to a very coping, healthy, and a very positive narrative they can reach to, and help them, encourage them with compassion and empathy. And also you can use a lot of group therapy approaches over here where you provide grief related support groups to the client and try to make the client work with a group where similar cases are there and they can learn from each other and link their stories with the other people, and they can learn from that, and how others are coping, they can also learn from that. And this is how you navigate the third phase in the whole therapeutic process with different modalities and techniques. And then the fourth step is identifying different coping mechanisms and resources for your client. Work with the client to find healthy anchors, emotional anchors, understanding how to cope with it, whether it's family support, spiritual practices, or creative outlets where they can do something creative for themselves and engage themselves into very creative approaches. And expressive art therapy, music therapy, these are alternative therapy techniques, yoga therapy, where they can release their tension and worries and can work better, healthy way of coping, and reintegrate them to the society, make them social, understand that they can join their family, friends, and do things, and join a community work, something like that. And then the fifth step is that meaning making. This is a very important step. Help the client to find way to honor the loss while showing reintegrating into their new normal life. So basically, the last step is that you kind of psychoeducate your client that this has gone from your life. It is no more with you. You are heading towards, or you're into a very new normal. It's a very new life for you. It's a new beginning. So have gratitude for the loss you have. Give thanks, forgive yourself and the person and others in this process, and honor whatever has gone and start everything new and fresh, because you deserve it, because we all deserve a life which we want to live happily. With that note, thank you so much. I hope you all learned something, and please like, share and comment, and subscribe to my channel for more such videos. And yes, do comment down below that anything else you would like to know, what you learned from it, what you want to do with grief counseling, how you have your different ideas. If you have something else to talk about, please do share about it. Thank you. Bye bye. This is me, Sai Ranjari Mitra, signing off from Heart It Out with Sai. Take care of yourselves, everybody.